In the words of David Goggin, the mind is the most powerful tool we have at our disposal. So, who is David Goggin? You might know him as the man who ran 100 miles in under 24 hours, or the first person to complete 3 Navy SEAL Hell Weeks in a single year. But the story of David Goggin is much more than a tale of physical prowess. It's a testament to the power of the mind. Born into a life of Goggins's early years were marred by trials that would have crushed lesser spirits. He grew up in poverty, a reality that is harsh and unforgiving. He faced prejudice, a bitter pill to swallow in a society that prides itself on equality and acceptance. And he grappled with physical limitations, a cruel irony for a man who would become synonymous with human endurance. Yet Goggins is not a story of sorrow and despair. Instead, it is a story of transformation, of a man who stared into the abyss and refused to blink. His life is a testament to mental toughness, to the belief that our minds can shape our realities. In the face of poverty, Goggins chose not to see lack, but opportunity. When confronted with prejudice, he didn't see barriers, he saw challenges to be overcome. And when confronted with physical limitations, he didn't see boundaries, he saw potential to be unlocked. But how did he do it? How did he transform hardship into a stepping stone towards greatness? The answer lies not in his physical strength, but in his mental fortitude. Goggins understood that the mind, not the body, is the key to our true potential. Through his life, Goggins paints a vivid picture of the power of the mind. He shows us that mental toughness is not a trait we are born with, but a skill we can hone, a muscle we can flex, and a weapon we can wield. But Goggins didn't let these challenges define him. Instead, they fueled his journey towards remarkable inner strength. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for more inspiring content. If you found this video enlightening, do not hesitate to subscribe and click the bell icon for more content that will inspire and motivate. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. Goggins once said, "When your mind is telling you you're done, you're really only 40% done." Now let's delve into the fascinating journey of David Goggin, a man who transformed himself from an overweight individual to a world-renowned endurance athlete, embodying this very principle. Goggins, who once tipped the scales at nearly 300 pounds, didn't always exemplify the pinnacle of physical fitness. But he wasn't content with his situation. He yearned for change, for transformation, for a chance to prove to himself and the world that he could be more, do more. So he made a decision to challenge his perceived limits, to push back against the barriers his mind tried to impose on him. He embarked on a rigorous training regime, one that would daunt even the most seasoned athletes. He pushed his body to the brink, running countless miles, lifting unimaginable weights, swimming vast distances. His training was not for the faint-hearted. It was brutal, it was relentless, but it was effective. Goggins was not just training his body, he was training his mind. He was teaching himself to endure, to persevere, to push past the pain and fatigue. Every bead of sweat, every aching muscle, every gasp for breath was a testament to his unwavering dedication. He was not just breaking physical barriers, he was breaking mental barriers. For Goggins, this transformation was not about becoming an endurance athlete. It was about proving to himself that he was capable of more than he ever thought possible. It was about redefining his limits, about showing the world that the only barriers that exist are the ones we create in our minds. This journey of Goggins teaches us a powerful lesson. It's not about the number of miles you can run or the weight you can lift. It's about the strength of your will, the power of your determination. It's about pushing past the 40%, about breaking the mental barriers. For Goggins, the pain was temporary, but the pride of overcoming was permanent. Goggins believed, suffering is a test. That's all it is. It's the test of life. David Goggins, a man of undeniable grit and determination, was no stranger to suffering. His journey through life was far from a walk in the park. In fact, it was more akin to a grueling uphill climb in the pouring rain. He was a man who faced adversity, embraced it, and used it as a tool to build an iron will that would see him through the most challenging of circumstances. Goggins's military career is a testament to his indomitable spirit. As a Navy SEAL, he endured some of the most rigorous training regimes in the world. But he wasn't satisfied with just making it through. He wanted to prove to himself and to the world that he was capable of more. He pushed himself to the brink, completing the infamously grueling Hell Week not once, not twice, but 3 times. Hell Week, a test designed to break even the strongest of men. It's a week of continuous training with minimal sleep, where recruits are pushed to their physical and mental limits. But for Goggins, it was a test he was willing to take, a challenge he was ready to embrace. But why, you might ask, would anyone willingly subject themselves to such torment? Well, Goggins saw suffering as a tool, a means to an end. He believed that by enduring pain and hardship, he could forge a mind and body capable of overcoming any obstacle in his path. He saw suffering not as a punishment, but as an opportunity to build resilience and grit. Each wave of pain, each moment of discomfort, was a chance for him to prove to himself that he was stronger than he thought. He was building an inner strength that couldn't be measured by physical feats alone. It was a mental toughness, a resilience that would see him through the darkest of days. In the face of unimaginable pain, Goggins forged a mind of steel. Goggins introduced us to a concept he calls the 40% rule. This rule is a mental strategy that Goggins himself used to push beyond his perceived limitations and reach astonishing heights in his physical and mental endurance. But what exactly is this 40% rule? Imagine you're in the middle of a grueling workout, a marathon perhaps, or maybe you're just trying to meet a tough deadline at work. Your mind is screaming at you to stop, to give up. You're exhausted, you're spent. Well, according to Goggins, when you reach that point, you're only about 40% done. Yes, you heard it right, just 40%. This is the essence of the 40% rule. Goggins discovered this rule during his many endurance races and ultramarathons. The moment he felt he was completely drained, he realized he had more in him. He had tapped into the other 60%. It's like having a second wind, a reserve tank of energy and perseverance that we're often unaware of. The 40% rule is not just about physical endurance, it's about mental resilience as well. It's about pushing through discomfort, about moving past the mental barriers that often stop us from reaching our full potential. It's about understanding that our minds often give up before our bodies do. Goggins used the 40% rule to conquer some of the most challenging endurance races in the world. But it's not just about running marathons or lifting heavy weights. It's a philosophy, a mindset that can be applied to any aspect of life, be it personal, professional, or anything in between. Whether it's tackling a challenging project at work, dealing with a difficult personal situation, or simply striving to become a better version of ourselves, the 40% rule teaches us that we often have more in us than we think. We all have the ability to dig deep, to push beyond our perceived limits, to tap into that 60% that's waiting to be unleashed. With the 40% rule, Goggins shows us that we are all capable of achieving far more than we believe. Goggins' life is a testament to the power of the human spirit. This isn't just a catchy statement, it's the truth. David Goggins, a man of extraordinary resolve, has left us with some vital lessons that can redefine the way we live our lives. First, he taught us about the power of the mind. Goggins didn't rely on external factors for motivation. He harnessed the power within, using his mind as his greatest tool. Each one of us possesses a similar tool. The question is, are we using our minds to its full capacity, or are we letting it gather dust? Next, Goggins showed us how to break mental barriers. He pushed past his limits again and again, proving that most barriers in life are self-created. You see, our minds often trick us into believing we can't achieve more. Goggins taught us to override these deceptive thoughts and break down the walls of self-doubt. Then comes embracing suffering. Goggins was no stranger to pain, but instead of shying away from it, he leaned into it. He understood that discomfort is the breeding ground for growth. So, when life throws a curveball, remember Goggins, embrace the hardship. It's in these moments of struggle that we truly find ourselves. And finally, the 40% rule. According to Goggins, when our mind tells us we're done, we're only 40% into our capability. This rule is a powerful reminder that we often have more to give than we think. When the going gets tough, remember, you're probably just hitting that 40% mark. In essence, Goggin's life is a masterclass in resilience, mental fortitude, and self-belief. His lessons aren't just about becoming physically strong, they're about becoming mentally unbreakable. They're about pushing past self-imposed limits and discovering the immense potential that lies within us. As Goggins puts it, you are stopping you are giving up instead of getting hard. So, ask yourself, are you ready to unleash your true potential?